some quiz review answers. These can all be found back in your notes from the previous week as well. These are some of our special cases. There are formulas that you can use, but on the few that ask you to show work, you need to show some work. So you can either go back to your videos and show how you apply the formulas, or you can just do it this way, just the way that's going to lead into what we're doing next week. So when it's squared, that means I have two of these. So then I separate the first one, which I know is the same as the second one. And then you gotta be careful, I have a minus sign there, so I have minus 3 times 2x minus 3. So I'm just doing the distributive property. So now I'm going to do 2x times 2x is 4x squared. 2x times negative 3 is negative 6x. Negative 3 times 2x is also negative 6x. Negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9. Combine your like terms. 4x squared minus 12x plus 9. If it's positive, you're going to do the same thing, except we'll compare our answers in a second here. So we have 2 4y's plus 7. So I have 4y times 4y plus 7. And then I have a positive 7 times 4y plus 7. Okay, with the distributive property, 4y times 4y is 16y squared. 4y times 7 is 28y. 7 times 4y, 28y. 7 times 7 is 49. My middles combine to get 56y. We're done. You'll notice the only difference between these first two is that I have, when it's subtraction, you're going to end up with a negative in the middle. When it's addition, you're going to end up with a positive in the middle. When it is a positive and a negative, the middles cancel out, so you can just, on the ones where it's a difference of squares, you can just skip to your answer. But I'm going to show you how it looks anyway. So you have 5y times 5y plus 1, and then you have negative 1 times 5y plus 1. So what happens is you get the 25y squared. That doesn't change, 5y times 5y. But then we add 5y here, but then we turn around with our next one, you subtract 5y. So they end up canceling. 1 times 1 is negative 1 here because of that negative. So you end up with 25y squared minus 1. Going down, you got to be careful on the directions for your quiz. This says, find the GCF. So I'm looking for is the biggest thing that these two things have in common. So if you go back to my old video, you could do a factor tree of 24. And you're going to do this long, drawn out process to find prime numbers that multiply to get 24. Sorry, 4 goes down to 2 and 2. So that would be the prime factorization. And then you see, you would do the same prime factorization of 30 and get 2 times 15, that's a prime number, 5 times 3 prime numbers. And what you'd see is that they have a 2 and a 3 in common. Well, 2 times 3 is 6. It's one way to do it. Or you can just start with 24, which is what I always do. I start with a smaller number, and then I just start looking for factors of 24. So like 1 times 24, 2 times 12. 12 doesn't go into 30. 4 times 6. 6 goes into 30. So that's what we're doing. I'm going to factor out of 6. So what happens here is that there's 2 parts to your answer here. So you need in this section, you just write your GCF. Sorry, you just write your GCF. So I can factor out 6. I can also factor out how many y's. They share 3 y's in common. This one has 4, this one has 3. So down here, you could pull out the negative if you want, or you don't have to. Doesn't matter. They share a 5 in common. And then you get x cubed and a y squared. Now down here in this section, there's 2 parts. So this is the one that has 2 parts. Because on your test, it's going to ask you, and your quiz is going to ask you to identify the GCF. So you would have to write the GCF of 4x. And then your factors is 4x times that quantity. So there's 2 parts to your answer. So hopefully you watch this video. If you don't, it's on you. So what can I factor out over here? I'm going to factor out a 3. Now we put on here. So my GCF is 3. So I divide all of these by 3. So then when we factor, so my factors are 3. And then I'm dividing all these by 3 because we're doing the inverse operation of what we did up to start this with the special cases. So we divide by 3, and what you're going to get is a negative y squared. 9y times 3 is a positive 3y, and negative 3 times 3 is negative 1. So real quick, if I check this, I would find any mistakes I made. Hopefully 3 times negative y squared is negative 3y squared. 3 times 3y, 9y, and 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. So it does check. Down here on 17, a little bit bigger, but they all share a 4 because 8 doesn't go into 28. So I'm going to take this 8 and break it down. 8 times 1, 2 times 4. 4 goes into 12, 4 goes into 16, 4 goes into 28. They all share 1 x in common, so that's my GCF. Is a 4 and an x. So now I divide by 4x. Okay, and this is my factors that are left. So I have 4x times the quantity. And remember, when we divide exponents, you actually subtract them. So everything's going to drop by 1 degree. So 12 divided by 4 is 3x cubed. And then we are going to subtract. 16 divided by 4 is 4. X cubed divided by x is x squared. 8 divided by 4 is 2. X squared divided by x is just x. And then you have a negative 28 divided by 4 is 7. The x's cancel. Last one. My GCF on this one is a little bit tricky because you gotta watch it. There's no x's over here. And there's no y's over here. So the only thing you can really factor out is a 2. And then my factors. So this one's a quick problem. Everything is divided by 2. So 2. And I'm left with 2x squared plus 3xy. Oop, not plus. Minus, ran out of room, sorry. 7y squared. So show your work on your quiz where it asks. Make sure you follow directions. And that is all. Good luck on the quiz. Get your questions answered before you take it. Have a good one.